It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
Let's go. I'm fired up, baby. And it's not an O, baby. That's Bonte in an hour. It's a pregame show, Joe Spadoni. And I'm fired up. Not because I left my phone in my car. And at the start of the next show, I'm going to have to go on my little scooter and zoom over there. And as you know, in the city, 4 o'clock compared to 6 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco, a little different traffic-wise. But I'll be safe. Don't worry. But I'm fired up. Not only because of that loss last night for the Golden State Warriors. Oh, you got to get a shot off there. Come on. I love Steph, but give up the rock, bro. Come on. Brutal last possession for the Warriors. Brutal game overall. We'll get into a little bit of that. But for most of the show today, it's all football. I want the picks. I want the Super Bowl matchup. 888-957-9570. What's the matchup that we are breaking down on Monday? It's going to be a revenge game either way for the 49ers. And yes, they're in the Super Bowl. It has been written in stone, etched. The 49ers are going back to the Super Bowl. Now, is it going to be revenge from the Harbaugh era against the Joe Flacco Miracle Run Ravens? Or is it going to be against the current dynasty in the NFL? That being Patrick Mahomes. And doesn't even become a dynasty until they win this year. In the NFL, I think it is a dynasty if you win 2 within like a 3-year span. Or just go to all the Super Bowls basically while you've been a starting quarterback, that being Patrick Mahomes. Was it all but 2 seasons he's been a starter? He has not reached the Super Bowl. Right, his first full year starting. Losing the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. Next year, beating the Niners in the Super Bowl. Year after that, Tampa. And then the year after that, they lose to the AFC Championship game to the Bengals. Yeah, 2 seasons. Must be nice. Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, and Andy Reid. But I got a Super Bowl matchup. It's going to be a Christmas Day rematch, folks. I don't care if I'm bearing the lead here 3 minutes into my show. You're supposed to tease these things usually. Oh, Spadoni, what's your Super Bowl matchup? Not that anyone really cares. Other than Sam Lubman. I know he was on pins and needles waiting for it. But it's going to be the Niners and Ravens. The 2 best teams in their respective conferences all season long. Going toe-to-toe. What the Chiefs have been doing right now it's been impressive. I'm not going to lie. It's been very impressive. We all left them for dead. And when I say we all, not me, all you other people, because I'm never sleeping on Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. If you got those 3 coupled by a top 5 defense, you could beat any team on any given Sunday. But on this given Sunday, leading up to the NFC Championship game, I believe the Ravens are going to pull it off. They're 4-point favorites at home. Lamar is the 2-time MVP. If not now, then when for Lamar Jackson to break through and win a Super Bowl? I think this is the year he gets to one, and the Chiefs retool and probably get Mike Evans or some ridiculous number 1 wide receiver in the offseason, and then they're back in the Super Bowl next year, because that's how that works. They're the new Patriots. But for the 49ers, because we love the 49ers around here and on this station, Niner 5-7 the game. All they got to do is take care of the rock. Take care of the football. Things will be fine. Don't make mistakes. Don't beat yourself. You win the game. Sounds simple, but it's not. Kyle Williams on line 1. Candlestick Park. Don't beat yourself. And you win and you advance to the Super Bowl. And on Super Bowl Sunday, one game. I know everyone's probably going to be taking either the Ravens or the Chiefs because of the quarterback matchup. It's one game. And I actually like that the Ravens beat the Niners on Christmas because it gives that much more motivation. And it's hard to beat a team twice within a span of a few months. And you best believe that Kyle Shanahan will be ready for either opponent. Good morning to all you lovely people just getting off work, getting ready for work, getting ready for the weekend. Championship weekend. And Championship Sunday is upon us. What is your Super Bowl prediction? Your scores for the weekend? What are your locks? Hey, I haven't bet in a while. Not since getting my heart broken last year in the NFC Championship game when Brock Purdy was out for the game in the first quarter. I was like, oh, all right. Maybe wagered a little bit too much on this game. I'm going to take an ice bath and cool down for a little bit. That was me last NFC Championship game. This one, it does feel like Niner fans are very confident this Sunday, and they should be. You know, the Lions have been talked about a lot, and rightfully so. I mean, they're the story right now in America. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Hell, they haven't even been bridesmaids. They're the ushers. They're the guy holding the door open at the wedding. I don't even know what the Lions are in that scenario. They ain't the ring bearer. They ain't the flower girl. They're like the janitor that cleans up after. They even sniffed the altar. Snuffed it. But they're here now. And America's behind them. They are a touchdown underdog on the road. The expectation is that 49ers should win this game. That's the expectation, that they should win, not comfortably, but, maybe pull away late. And, it was a cute story, but Niners have been here. They've done that. Right? And I'm not saying don't sleep on the Lions. Maybe we are a little bit a prisoner of the moment, though, just based off last week's results. The Packers, everything was right for them to get that upset, but they couldn't do it. And I give 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy a lot of credit for the resilience they showed. Dealing with the elements, dealing with a hot team, dealing with a hot young quarterback. And you know what? Finding a way to get it done. It's going to be perfect conditions this Sunday in Santa Clara. Perfect. It's like 70 degrees. You kidding me? On January 28th? Can't ask for better weather. Also, on the flip side, if you're Detroit, probably the same. I know a lot's been made about, it's outside, they're a dome team. I was like, well, if the weather's nice, who gives a damn? I get it, they're not playing on turf, it's grass. This isn't old Levi Stadium grass. They're not going to be slipping and sliding all over the place. Do I expect points? I expect points. Mike Martz was on yesterday with Evan Giddings filling in for Matt Steinmetz, who's on the mend, recovering from hip surgery, doing well. Steiner. And Daryl the Guru Johnson, Mike Martz, obviously, former OC of the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. Head coach also. Obviously, they lost to the New England Patriots, Tom Brady's first Super Bowl, way back once upon a time. But Mike Martz knows his stuff when it comes to the NFL, when it comes to offenses. And here he is talking about the Lions not being a great matchup for the 49ers. This is interesting.
This is going to be a very, very hard game for the 49ers. It's not a good matchup for them because they are patient. I'm talking about Detroit's patient enough to hand it with those two backs and grind it out and keep them off the field. And they're explosive enough to get that play action pass down the field. And those great linebackers that the Niners have, and they're great. That tandem is terrific. Get them caught up in the line of scrimmage and get it behind. That could be a tough recipe for the 49ers. I think the 49ers, Kyle's always been very deliberate, methodical, going down the field and creating big plays. I think what's going to come down to this, whoever goes 3-and-out is probably not going to win. You know, you can't go 3-and-out in a big game like that. You can't have many of those. If you do, you're going to end up at the bottom of the pile. And it's going to be a very, very tight game. This is not going to be an easy game for the 49ers.
It's not going to be an easy game for the San Francisco 49ers. That's Mike Martz again. You can find that entire interview. Just search 95.7 The Game on YouTube and find it there. We are streaming live on Twitch and YouTube all day long, 5 a.m. through 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, ending with the Grandy Man with the best of the game, doing a hell of a job. He and Sterling Bennett, by the way, get you started on Sunday. Was that 9 o'clock, Sam? 9 o'clock. Right here, Sunday morning, leading you up to the game, to the kickoff show with Larry Krueger, Lorenzo Neal, who will be live at the Hilton in Santa Clara, as they have been at every single home game for the 49ers. Stop by, say hi. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a very good time. Good weather. It's 49ers Lions. I mean, I'm wrapping my head around the Lions still being in the championship game. It's unbelievable. And it's going to come down to the quarterbacks and which one makes mistakes. Sometimes it's not the quarterback. Sometimes it's special teams. Sometimes it's going for it when he should have, or vice versa. There's going to be singular moments in this game that are going to be dictated by the quarterback, though. And Mike Martz talked about, the team that doesn't go 3-and-out, probably going to win. Can't have 3-and-outs in a game like this. With these high potent offenses, it might as well be a turnover. Because that's what it feels like. You ever watch those college games where like things are going, it's just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And then fourth quarter comes around and you have a 3-and-out and it's just like, what the hell? Oh, well, that game's over. Because that other opposing defense isn't stopping anyone. I'm not saying it's going to be to that level, but I'm expecting a higher scoring affair between these two squads. And how's Deebo Samuel going to look? How's that going to affect the offense? Practicing yesterday in a limited fashion. Bodes well. He's going to play. Right now, Deebo Samuel's going to play. Now, pain tolerance, is he going to be hampered by that? We shall see. But he will be out there on the field, and that's a big confidence boost for the young quarterback being Brock Purdy. 888-957-9570, the number. Your Super Bowl matchup, as we now have a final in Australia, we have a final matchup on Sunday for the Aussie Open. Daniil Medvedev taking out Zverev, Alexander Zverev, who is up 2-0 on Medvedev, the Russian. Medvedev came back, winning 3 straight and advancing to the final, where he would probably be favored. I shouldn't say probably. My tennis game is a little rusty right now. I haven't been keeping up a lot. A lot happened in football, basketball, tennis. Usually I get more involved. U.S. Open, Wimbledon, when it's dog days of baseball, yada, yada, yada. But I would assume Medvedev would be favored over Yannick Sinner, who got the upset yesterday over Novak Djokovic, who was the number 1 seed heading into the tournament. Obviously, the greatest men's tennis player of all time. You may disagree. He's the most decorated, did it in the hardest era. Debate all you want. All right. Real quick, back to the Warriors. And we'll continue to take your calls and texts as it pertains to the 49ers. That game last night, Harrison Barnes with the career high. Did not have that on my bingo card. 39 for the Black Falcon. NBA champion, the former Golden State Warrior, by way of North Carolina, Tar Heels, comes into Chase Center and says, you know what, I've been thinking about Game 4 in the playoffs last year, where I could have taken a stranglehold on this series going up 3-1. Clanked the three-pointer, wasn't meant to be. We lose in the first round. Steph Curry's amazing in Game 7. Rest is history. And this isn't the playoffs, but if you're Harrison Barnes, that had to have felt good. And I'm not saying the Warriors fans should have any sympathy or anything. No. Just saying for Harrison Barnes, that had to have felt good. And for Golden State Warrior fans, again, watching that final play, I need Steph to get a shot up. I need him to get and this is, I don't want to ruffle any feathers here at, 5:15 a.m. on the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. Don't want to ruffle any feathers. But this is where we crush guys like LeBron, Kobe, hell, even Michael. Got to get a shot off. At the very least, give up the rock. If you're not big enough, and Steph's not, he's a smaller guy. This is part of his game that, his contemporaries have over him when it comes to top 10 players of all time. A little bigger, a little taller. They can rise above. They can shoot over people. It's tough when you blitz Steph Curry if you're Steph because you're not the biggest guy. You got to give it up. In that situation, he needed to. Got to get a shot off there. You clawed all the way back. You didn't lead, until the second quarter, until all the way back until the fourth. Till what? 40 seconds left when Kuminga put it in? Got to get a shot off there. You just got to. And here is Stephen Curry asked if he thought about taking a timeout.
No, we talked about it before both of his free throws. Me and Coach kind of agreed, like, we're gonna take it. Kind of thinking you're gonna be down 3, knowing he's a good shooter, and he missed the first one, so it's like, all right, yeah, we're still gonna go, expecting he was gonna make the second one. You'd be down 2 and kind of understand the situation. And then once he missed the second one, Clay got a great rebound, but we'd already committed to going. And at that point, it was obviously chaos, just trying to get over half court, see what the defense was. And once JK gave it to me, at that point, that's probably where the timeout, I either should have seen it or coach or whoever, just to know there's 8 people on one side of the court. And we had a screen, they trapped, and I was trying to get the ball back to Draymond to see what could happen. So I would say there probably should have been a timeout right when I got the ball and turned and saw that the court wasn't balanced right, and we still had plenty of time. But the chaos of the moment, you're trying to make a play, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and it didn't last night. Kings 134, Warriors 133. Warriors now 19-23 on the season, as they have, again, we mentioned it yesterday, it's a tough stretch at home. Got the Lakers Saturday night, primetime game, 5:30. Be there, be square. We'll have it all for you right here on 95.7 The Game. And then, Tuesday, against Joel Embiid and the Philadelphia 76ers. It's not easy. That's 2 big men that will probably have their way with the Warriors. Anthony Davis, and again, Joel Embiid. So, tough loss yesterday. In a game where you shoot 51% from three-point land, Jonathan Kuminga has 31, 12 and 19. Kid was flying all over the place. Team high plus 16 coming off the bench. Wiggins, efficient, 17 points. He had 4 assists. I mean, you get a performance like Wiggins and Kuminga at the same time. Your team's shooting 51% from 3. You've got to win a game like that. The problem has been the defense. The possession, was it 2 possessions before, on which Sabonis had that easy layup dunk because there's a blown assignment coming off the inbounds pass. Steph, Draymond rolls out to Herter in the corner. Steph also tries a double. Leaves Sabonis wide open. Cutting down to the basket. Night. The defense for this team If we thought Draymond Green was going to be the cure-all, we are mistaken. I mean, they're allowing 70-point first halves like it's nothing. That's not the Warriors basketball we are all accustomed to within the last decade. But to reiterate, these past 2 seasons are not the dynasty team. This is a team that's getting older. This is a team that has flaws. And this is a team that has question marks less than 2 weeks away now from the NBA trade deadline. And what are they going to do? I mean, every type of loss like this, and again, we're going to keep going to it, the clutch game losses. And it's kind of annoying to keep bringing it up because people are trying to insinuate that, oh, see, they're actually kind of a good team because they actually just keep losing close. No, that's the mark of a bad team. I'm not buying this whole narrative like, man, they just had a lot of close losses, just one thing can... No. You keep losing close games, like you're losing yesterday, mental lapses consistently. I'm not giving you the benefit of the doubt because it was the same thing last year. It was a frustrating game last night. Very frustrating. Steve Kerr, after the game, asked if he thought they should have gone to Kuminga.
I haven't seen the play yet. I haven't watched the replay, but JK he's a young player. He had a phenomenal night tonight again. This is just a string of great games from him. So we went to him the possession before down on the block, and so he's really earning the trust of his teammates, and he's getting better and better. So I haven't watched that play. There's always stuff you could have done, this or that, but he was phenomenal tonight.
He was phenomenal. Jonathan Kuminga, he's a keeper. He's sticking around. You are keeping that guy. Andrew Wiggins, hey, good performance. Boost up that trade value. That's what I want right now. Not that it's going to, a couple games here and there is going to do much. But you know what? Maybe if a team sees how he's playing in recent weeks, you never know. What does Bonte like to say? There's always a sucker. Well, and I'm not here to dog Andrew Wiggins because he had a good performance last night, but it is what it is at this point with him. I see the future, that being Jonathan Kuminga on my team. And I get it, they're not the same position. And even last night, they actually played well together some minutes on the court together. I know there's been big topic of discussion. Can you play Wiggins and Kuminga at the same time? They're not, shot creators. Well, Wiggins last night, 4 assists. Kuminga, 3 assists. Not mad at that. Kerr, is it odd to watch your star players struggle?
Honestly, the difference is every game is close now. I think in the past we had plenty of games like this where, we miss a shot at the end or don't execute. And because every game is tight and our record is what it is, I think there's just a spotlight on every single late game situation. I think we've still, played more clutch games than any team in the league. And so when we don't convert, it's just exposed because it's, we are where we are and we're, trying to fight our way into the playoffs. And those type of situations in the past, we didn't always convert. We had plenty of nights where we didn't execute and, came out on the wrong end of things.
Stephen Curry last night was sensational. He was. And it's unfortunate that final possession is going to cloud what was otherwise, I thought, one of his better games as of late, at least scoring the basketball. 33 points, 13 and 26 overall. Steph knows that he needs to put this team on his back, especially against, the contenders in the West. Playoff teams. And that's what you're going to be facing now coming up. You just look at the Warriors schedule. And I already mentioned it. The next 2 games. Lakers, Sixers, then you're on the road against Memphis. And are we still sleeping on Memphis with no Ja? No Marcus Smart? No Desmond? Are we still sleeping on that squad after they beat you just a few weeks ago? Then you're on the road against Atlanta. at Brooklyn, then at the Sixers, at Pacers, home against the Suns, they're on against the Jazz, Clippers, Lakers. Like, it doesn't get any easier for the Warriors is what I'm trying to say. And there is no easy game for them. So what's going to go down here in the next few weeks is going to shape, I believe, the future of this team. And the future of this team winning a title hangs in the balance. What they do here at the NBA trade deadline coming up. And then what they do this summer potentially as well. 888-957-9570. Before we hit the break, we can pivot back to the Niners. Had to talk about the Warriors, though, after last night. That was a disappointing loss. It was disappointing. After all the good vibes, obviously, of what was an emotional night, getting the win over the Atlanta Hawks. 70 points in the first half. I'm not expecting the defense to change just like that, but the defense this year, which has always been the underrated part of when the Warriors were good, was their defense. It's just been non-existent, even with Draymond, who's doing his best. Let's go to Mitch out in Jersey. I want to ask his Super Bowl prediction, and I want to ask you your Super Bowl predictions at 888-957-9570. What's going on, Mitch? What's your Super Bowl prediction?
What's poppin', brother? Happy Friday. Thanks for taking the call. I got chances in Baltimore. It'd be the best matchup. The games are going to be great. I don't know which game's going to be better. You got two great quarterbacks over in the AFC, and then Goff is pretty good. And Purdy, I mean, if he wins 4 Super Bowls with the talent he's got, you're going to be talking about there with Joe Montana. This is going to be the last. This is going to be the draft. Last guy in the draft against the last player taken in the first round. Remember, Baltimore moved up to trade for Lamar Jackson in the last pick in that first round pick, I believe, and he's trying to be the best quarterback in that draft. Josh Allen, just right behind him. Great draft. Sometimes you gotta be lucky than good, right?
There you go. That's what the great Bob Spadoni always used to say. It's better be lucky than good. 49ers Ravens. That's mine. That is my Super Bowl matchup. What say you? 888-957-9570. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. More of your calls, more of your text. Hit us up on YouTube. Search 95.7 The Game. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. Good morning to all you lovely people. My family, Jimbo, Morali, Giants for Life, Tiago, Jay Hodges, Alex in Hotlanta. They're all fired up. Why shouldn't you be? It's a Friday, baby. And it's a Phil Collins Friday on 95.7 The Game.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher...
You're listening to the Pregame Show on 95.7 The Game.
Phil Collins Friday, baby. Beautiful. A beautiful man. And again, no one rocks a receding hairline like Phil Collins. He made it a look. He did. And shout out Tarzan. Greatest Disney album of all time. Talking music. Academy Award winning, by the way. And also spoofed by, hilariously, South Park. I think they edged him out that year. The Tarzan, when I first saw You'll Be in My Heart, I think that edged out Blame Canada from the South Park movie. It's my Oscars knowledge. His Oscars coming around, right? Yeah, something like that. I used to be more into it when I was younger. But I just don't have time to watch any films these days. And there's so many different streaming services. It's just overload of content right now. So I try to keep it simple, you know? Pre-game show. We don't try to throw too much at you at 5:34 a.m. on a Friday. The question is simple. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who are we going to be talking about on Monday? You got Ravens, Chiefs in Baltimore. It's the early game. And then you got Lions, Niners. Who's it going to be? 888-957-9570. As we are also discussing the Warriors lost to the Sacramento Kings. It's tough. And yes, Stephen Curry is now an all-star game starter. And that's not a conversation I'm discussing today. Is he still the best point guard in the league in the West? Sure. Probably. I hate fan voting. It's always a narrative thing with this. So any type of conversation in regards to all-star voting, whether it's Major League Baseball, whether it's the NBA, whether it's the Pro Bowl in the NFL, it's all dumb. Fan voting for actual awards that actually have, you know, contractual ties to how much money you may receive, I think is stupid. Very, very stupid. Should he have been in as a starter? Probably. If you're just going off legacy. I mean, LeBron isn't even the best player on his own team right now. Anthony Davis should be starting. Should LeBron? Probably not. Right? He got a bajillion votes because he's LeBron James and he's 39 and he's having an unbelievable season. That's unprecedented at that age. He's been amazing. As much as we like to crush LeBron, and they got to win last night, and they're taking on the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night at Chase Center. Coverage of that starting at 4:30 right here, 95.7 The Game with Warriors Live. But it is what it is, as we like to say here. It is what it is also applies to the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan not being able to, you know, get that Super Bowl trophy. With a loss Sunday, he'd basically be Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Kyle Shanahan, if he loses on Sunday, he is Andy Reid in Philadelphia. Why do I say that? Andy Reid went to 4 straight NFC Championships with a Super Bowl appearance in one of them. Kyle Shanahan would have gone to 4 NFC Championships, 4 in the last 5, not consecutively, with a Super Bowl appearance. Andy Reid got how many more years after that final NFC Championship berth? I want to say it was a lot longer than we all thought. Andy Reid, Philadelphia Eagles. I want to say it was like 5 or 6 years because we've been sleeping on how long Andy Reid has been with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's been better part of a decade. I mean, people now think of him as a Chief more than Eagle. I still, for some reason, think of him as an Eagle because of my childhood. I just associate it with him. Right? So, 2007, 2004. NFC East 2007, 6, and 20. Yeah. 2004. Man. So he had that consecutive streak. 4 straight. And then he never got back to one. And then he stayed there in Philadelphia for another, 7 seasons? And I'm not saying, Kyle Shanahan can't win the big one this year. It's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the narrative will start to becoming clear if he loses this Sunday. He will be Andy Reid in Philadelphia. And then it wasn't until the Eagles moved off of Reid, right? Obviously, they brought in Chip Kelly. Didn't work out there. They did make the playoffs in his first season, but that was all Andy Reid's guys. Move off of him, bring in Doug Peterson, and then win a Super Bowl. So sometimes change is necessary. But I don't think it's run its course here, even if they do lose Sunday. And I'm not trying to throw bad juju out there. Spadoni, what are you talking about? I'm just telling you the facts. This is a massive game for the 49ers. They are a touchdown favorite. They should win this game. It would be a massive disappointment and a massive failure if they lost this Sunday at Levi's Stadium against the, plucky Detroit Lions who are just happy to be there. Dan Campbell and their head coach is biting off kneecaps. Jared Goff, what a story. But you know what? All good things must come to an end. And for the Detroit Lions, that's going to happen this Sunday at Levi's Stadium. Truly believe that. What say you? 888-957-9570, the number. Jamal Hill joined the Morning Roast yesterday. Jamal Hill, obviously, formerly of ESPN and currently a staff writer for The Atlantic. Still covers all things pop culture, politics, and football, being a Detroit native, but growing up a 49ers fan. Jamal believes this is would be the biggest story in Michigan history, sports history, that is, if the Lions make the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, if the Lions go to the Super Bowl, I think it's already the biggest story in state history and sport, and as it relates to sports. Yeah, the Lions have been pretty much inept for like 50, 60 years. I mean, this was their first playoff victory in this season in 32 years. First time they won a division in 30 years. So there were a lot of new terrain for Lions fans. And so right now, when you consider the fact that they went 0-16, they were just 3-13 3 years ago.
Right.
So this is really an incredible moment for them, for the city.
And finally, Jamal, on who has the most pressure this Sunday.
I think by far it's Kyle Shanahan. I mean, we were in the Super Bowl just a few years ago, and a lot of Niner fans are still upset about how that game went because it was very reminiscent of when Kyle Shanahan was in Atlanta and they blew a 28-3 lead to the Patriots, kind of on his watch. And so when you look at the fact last week was the first time, one of his coach teams had come back from behind, it says there are starting to be some questions. I mean, I'm not trying to, rally some kind of, bandwagon that Kyle Shanahan should be up out of there, but there are definitely some questions about his coaching style, like whether or not this team can handle some adversity if they get down in the game and whether or not he is the coach to get them over this hump.
He's under the most pressure, but you know what? Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure is a privilege, and the 49ers have been very privileged under Kyle Shanahan. Again, reaching their 4th NFC title game. How's it going to shake out? 888-957-9570. We got one more segment. All your predictions. You know what? Get them all off right now. 888-957-9570. Call in. Who's going to be playing Monday? What's the matchup? I want to hear from you. It's the pregame show. Joe Spadoni. One more segment before tossing it off to the Morning Roast. 95.7 The Game.
With heating bills.
Jones Friday, baby. Pre-game show, Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. What's your Super Bowl matchup right now? 12 minutes, what we got before tossing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast. They're going to take all your calls, all your predictions, everything, all your trash talk, whatever you have for Lions, Niners. That's coming up in 15 minutes. But now, I want to know the Super Bowl matchup. What are your locks of the weekend? Whatever. 888-957-9570. I like the Niners. I like the Ravens. It's a 2012 Super Bowl rematch. It is a Christmas night of this year rematch. And I think that bodes well for the 49ers. I do. I know everyone's talking about how historical this Ravens team is, how they have been the best team from top to bottom all season long. Something about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid in Kansas City, if I'm a Niner fan, I don't want to deal with that. Patrick Mahomes gives me headaches. Lamar Jackson, he's never been there before to a Super Bowl. Just like my guy potentially in Brock Purdy. Patrick Mahomes, he's been there. He's done that twice. He's been there another time and got shellacked against Tampa. Although, as Bomani Jones mentioned on the Morning Roast just a few days ago, he was actually amazing in that game if you just watched it. He was throwing and getting destroyed in the pocket in that game and still throwing dimes to Tyreek, who dropped it, to Kelsey, who dropped it. In hindsight, how did we all not? And I did, though. But how did America not take the Bucs in that game? You had Tom Brady at home being an underdog in the Super Bowl. Give me a break. Adrian is out in Hayward, wants to join on the conversation. 888-957-9570 if you would like to weigh in as well. Adrian, what's going on? You're on the pregame show, Joe Spadoni.
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Oh, it's going, baby. It's a Friday.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm a big Niner fan, but I just don't trust Kyle Shanahan. Neither do I Brock. Shanahan, I just don't understand why he gets so many chances year after year. We talk, it was a great season, a great team, yada, yada, yada. I'm done with that guy. If we lose again on Sunday and people have that same talk about, it was a great season, why would we fire him? I'm gonna lose it. And Brock Purdy, too, that 4-point comeback, was it really that big of a comeback? Are you buying it?
Well,
when you're by yourself,
yeah.
You believe it?
Thanks, Adrian. I appreciate the call. I mean, listen, you could blame the elements to some extent in that game. It wasn't his best game. But when push came to shove, he made a drive to win you a game in the playoffs. I mean, that's what legends, quote unquote, are made of. That's what your guy needs to do in the playoffs. When nothing's working and you still got a chance to win at the end of the day and he leads you on a drive, I can't crush him for that. Now, can you be a little more pessimistic after that performance heading into this week? Sure, if you want to be. But I think Green Bay's defense presents way more problems than Detroit's, especially the secondary. Although the defensive line on both, I think, is going to be the question mark in this one. Who's going to get more pressure on the opposing quarterback? Now, to your first point, Adrian, talking about Kyle Shanahan, I think a lot of fans are with Adrian. I do. But I would also say this. Why does he keep getting a quote-unquote pass? Well, it's very difficult to get to the NFC Championship game. Very difficult. Just ask the team you're facing this Sunday, the Detroit Lions. The seasons Kyle Shanahan have had, although have ended in heartbreak, have been very successful and very difficult to navigate through. So I will give him credit there. Now, having said that, you need the hardware. And I'm not talking the NFC title game hardware. You need a Lombardi. The history of this franchise says as much. You need a Lombardi. Dan Campbell can win this game Sunday, and he's etched in Detroit Lions history forever. Just for an NFC title game and a Super Bowl appearance out in Las Vegas. But that's the Lions. The expectations are different. The expectations in San Francisco for the 49ers, winning at the highest level possible. That's in award season, whether it's the MVPs, whether it's DPOYs, whether it's first team All-Pro, whether it's a Super Bowl trophy. It's everything at the highest level for the 49ers. That is the legacy that Eddie DeBartolo has left for this franchise. So yes, would it be a quote-unquote successful season in the grand scheme of things, if you want to label that, if they just get to the NFC title game? Sure. But for a lot of fans, Adrian, that's not good enough. And it does feel like if you were going to win a Super Bowl in the Kyle Shanahan era, it would be this year. The way this team has been playing, I get how it looked last week, but look at the overall body of work. The Niners have been the best team in the NFC and been a top 3, top 2 team in the NFL. I'd say top 2, them and the Ravens. That's why I have that as my matchup this Sunday. What say Fernando in San Jose? What's up, man? You're on the pregame show.
What's up, Spadoni? A couple things, bro, real quick. Shanahan, he gets too conservative when he gets the lead. And, you know, he's got to go for the juggler when they're winning, especially Sunday. He can't get, he can't be soft. And then he's due. If he doesn't get the championship this year, they should think about taking him out. Change him.
Really?
Because he's too conservative.
Wow. That's surprising. Thanks, Fernando. That's 2 people right there that have called in saying if Kyle Shanahan does not win this game Sunday, he should be gone. That is, wow. Listen, I'm not a 49ers fan. I've dealt with a lot of heartbreak in sports. This guy has had a lot of success. Now, it hasn't resulted in a Super Bowl trophy. I understand that. But do you guys realize how hard it is? Do we realize how difficult it is to get to this point? It's brutal. This is the NFL, a.k.a. not for long. And that means for coaches, for players, for dynasties, for success, for everything. It's not for long. And he has had some pretty damn good success. Now, again, your definition of success might be different than the next fans. And that's fine. But he's not going to get fired if they lose this Sunday. I'm very confident in that. Will fans be even more frustrated? Yes. Do they deserve to be frustrated? Yes. And will there start to be questions whether this guy can be the guy to lead us to a Super Bowl? I think that's fair. I do. But they're winning this game Sunday. They are. The Lions, they're a fun story. It's been awesome to watch them this year. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, his resurgence in Detroit after getting kicked to the curb. Obviously, he's a Bay Area guy. But this is where it ends. There's levels to this, and I expect the 49ers to pull away and win this game. It's going to look somewhere in the realm of, 35-20, something like that. It'll be a close game throughout, but I think the 49ers pull away in the end. Maybe there's a backdoor cover somewhere around there. Was it 7.5 points right now? It started off at 7. Then it dipped to 6.5. Now it's back up to 7.5. A lot of money coming in on San Francisco, just like there's a lot of money coming in on Baltimore as well. That always kind of scares me a little bit. Scares me when all that money's coming in on both those squads. Man, you know me. I never doubt Patrick Mahomes. That guy is Darth Vader. Andy Reid is the Emperor. And maybe, just maybe, Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan are Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker. Maybe. Who'd Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh be? That's a Star Wars scenario. Huh. Maybe they're Darth Maul. Yeah. I like Lamar. He hasn't won yet, so he can't be one of those guys. As we nerd out here at 5:57 a.m. on the pregame show. We got 2 minutes here. Doc Rivers of the NFL is the 714. That's disrespectful. Doc Rivers actually won a ring, though. If we're going to do that. Shanahan hasn't won one. I think the comp, again, is Andy Reid in Philadelphia if he doesn't get this done. But again, ifs, buts, candy, and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. That's Lo Neal's saying, and he's going to be on with Larry Krueger this Sunday at the Hilton in Santa Clara for the kickoff show. You're not going to want to miss that, starting at 12 o'clock there. 9 o'clock that morning, listen to Mark Grandy and Sterling Bennett getting you ready for the game and for the kickoff show. So we're going to be live and local all weekend long. We got Warriors this week, tomorrow morning, taking you all the way up to the Warriors-Lakers. That's a nice little appetizer for Championship Sunday. Steph and LeBron at Chase Center. Sign me up for that. I know it hasn't been the best year for either of those squads, but let's, cherish the few games we'll have left between those icons in the league. I mean, LeBron James is 39 years old, and he's doing this. I get it. He's enemy number one around here. Steph, he's getting older. He's still showing out. Can't take these matchups for granted. This could be LeBron's last season. I don't even know. Obviously, they play 4 more times, including this Saturday. It's very odd. I mean, the first Lakers-Warriors game, it's going to be January 27th? Ugh. Gross. It's not gross, though. The Morning Roast. Bonte Hill, Joe Shasky. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You're listening to 95.7.